What's up? What's up? How we doing today, guys? How are we doing on this? I dropped one of my AirPods. How are we doing on this Friday night, guys? He's back. Yes, I am. I know it feels like I've been gone for so long. Well, technically, I've only been gone for a week. Technically, I've only been gone for like a week because I did do a live stream last week when I streamed Mortal Kombat. But if you're talking about my last wrestling-related video, then yes, I haven't been live and I haven't posted anything in like 2 weeks. Tantalizing Tony Wrestling Show, what's up, man? Welcome to the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Honestly, shocked Matt Riddle lasted this long. Really, you thought he would have got released sooner? Interesting take. Interesting take. I can't say that I'm shocked that Matt Riddle got. We'll talk about Matt Riddle. We'll talk about Matt Riddle. We'll talk about a lot of people today. Because on this stream, we'll be talking about all the releases that happened in WWE over the last day. We've had over 23 releases. I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but I feel like just about every release that we saw here, I saw and I was like, you know what? These are people that I feel like either were underutilized, were never going to get pushed to a certain level, or kind of were just occupying space. So even though it's upsetting and I never want to see somebody lose their job, I was like, I understand it and I kind of get it. You know what I mean? It's the sad reality. It's like I kind of get why these people got released. Yeah, I didn't want it to happen, but obviously I can understand it. Before we get into things, just want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. We got Bob Bobolo, Roku, Braden. I see Masco in the chat. I see Noah Dumb Wrestling. Of course, we just had Tantalizing Tony, the one and only Ultimate Pro Wrestling. So many of you in the chat. I appreciate you all coming through, man. I appreciate you all coming through. I love you guys. Before we do this, I do also have to go to my Discord and let them know that I'm live because I legit always forget to let my Discord know that I'm live. I also forgot to let TikTok know that I'm live too. Because, you know, I just forget to tell people that I'm live. I'm sorry. It's just kind of the nature. It's kind of the nature of me. I forget to tell people that I'm live. So let's go to Discord real quick and let them know that I'm live. How was SmackDown, guys? I didn't get a chance to watch SmackDown. I had to go grocery shopping today after work. I brought like $350 worth of groceries, and then it took me like 30 minutes to clean up my fridge and then add the new food. So I was going. I didn't watch anything from SmackDown tonight. Did The Rock show up again? Did The Rock show up again, guys? Yes, he did. Why are you lying? No, he didn't. I would. My phone would have been blowing up if The Rock came out, because it definitely blew up last week when he did. So if my phone wasn't blowing up, then I don't think anything big happened. No, sadly not. I'm telling you, man, that was the last time y'all saw The Rock for the next 2 years. Y'all don't believe me. He ain't wrestling at WrestleMania. Y'all working yourselves into a shoot, thinking he's gonna wrestle at WrestleMania. Honestly, truly. But guys, it is 10 o'clock. I do not want to be live too long today. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off talking about these guys. So basically this stream is going to be us talking about these guys' careers, talking about my thoughts on release and where I think they're going to go. I'm going to withhold from doing any fantasy booking. I think it's kind of inappropriate to fantasy book when these people actually lost their jobs. Before we do that, the lighting is a little off right now, so give me a second to adjust the lighting in my room. Hold on. Give me a second. I gotta adjust the lighting in here. Some lighting over here. A big part of it is that my lamp is not where it usually is. I think once I do that, it's probably gonna be fixed. Yeah, kind of, sort of. If I go like this, okay. Listen, now I'm fucking glistening. Holy shit! Oh, this goddamn light. I should throw on Christian theme song. If you close your eyes, your life then it true reveal. Hey, yo, quick question in the chat before we get into the releases. What version of Christian's theme song is the best? I'm talking about Close Your Eyes. What version is the best? The male vocals or the female vocals? And by female vocals, I mean the 2005 version of his theme song, or the 2010 version of his theme song. I personally prefer the female vocals. I don't know what it is. It just feels like there's much more emotion. It feels kind of the male version. I like, yo, like I get it. The male version is catchy, and he had that for a little bit longer. But I don't know. There's something about that female version that just hits different for me. Most people are saying the male vocals. I gotta go with Waterproof Blondes. Yeah, I like Waterproof Blondes. I like their version. I like the version just slightly more. I'm not saying that I don't like the male version at all. I just like the female version slightly more. Slightly more. If we're talking the Johnny Gargano theme song, okay, well, that's a given. It's the female vocals. I legit just hate Johnny Gargano's current theme song. Like, the female vocals are the best one. And I wish he would bring that shit back, but he won't. And it's upsetting. Who is your favorite wrestling content creator besides me? Ooh, you know, I know it might be hard to believe, but I don't really watch too many other wrestling content creators. I really don't watch too many other ones. There are a few that I watch when they come across my feed. I'll watch their videos, like Santi Zap. Santi Zap is so fucking awesome. I talk to him every once in a while. Like, he's a cool guy. Muscleman Malcolm, really enjoy his content. Who else do I enjoy? I don't know. I don't really watch too many other wrestling content creators. So probably like Muscleman Malcolm and Santi Zap, Mr. Santi Zap. The Botch Guy. Well, I tried to do his accent. I can't. What's your favorite wrestling show you've been at? The favorite wrestling show I've been at? Ooh. Brandon Does Everything. Brandon Does Everything is cool. I don't watch his videos actively, if that makes sense. Like, if it pops up on my feed and I have time, I will, but like I don't actively seek out his content. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And his videos don't appear on my feed that often. Sandy's app took over everything. YouTube, TikTok, like he's taking over everything. So he appears on my feed all the time. Like, I can't avoid Santi. If I wanted to avoid Brandon Does Everything, it's much easier to do that. What about Kicking It with Ross? He's cool. I don't really watch his content too much. But the reaction content I did see is very entertaining. I want to collab with him one day. He's pretty cool. I think my first introduction to him was when he was with all four of those guys on a round table doing reactions. Those were definitely that was definitely my introduction to him. Wrestling with Regret. I grew up on Wrestling with Regret. He was definitely one of my wrestling content creator inspirations. Him, excuse me, and Solo Monster Sounds Off. Both of them definitely inspired me to become wrestling content creators. Definitely Solo Monster Sounds Off. I've been listening to him. Next year, I would have been listening to the Solid Monster Sounds Off podcast for 10 years. That's crazy. Like, I started listening to the Solid Monster when I was in like junior year of high school. Like, holy shit, that was 10 years ago. Wow. It's crazy to think how fast time has passed, bro. I still remember being on a bus and I was scrolling to iTunes because at the time my school gave us iPads, and I was scrolling through iTunes looking for podcasts to listen to because I just discovered podcasting for some goddamn reason. And I was like, oh, I wonder if there's wrestling podcasts that exist. And then I came across this one podcast, Solid Monster Sounds Off, and I'm like, well, there's no wrestling in the title, but whatever. I end up scrolling by it, whatever. Then I ended up going on YouTube and I saw clips from this YouTube channel. For the life of me, I wish I could remember what it was called. It was like Wrestle Tape or Scoop or I don't know. But there was this one wrestling YouTube channel, and I don't think it exists anymore. But a long, long time ago, this one wrestling YouTube channel would post clips from like multiple like different wrestling content creators, like podcasts, like Solomon Monster Sounds Off, The Wrestling Scoop. I think OTS Review was on there, and there's another one. There was like 4 or 5 podcasts that they would clip, and they would put it up on a channel, and it wasn't run by any of the 5 I just named. It was like this one random channel, and I would always like listen to the Solomon Monster Sounds Off clips, and I was like, I like this guy's takes or whatever. So I ended up going back to iTunes and downloading his podcast, and the rest is history. 10 years strong, I've been listening to him. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I don't listen to him every single week like I used to, but I do like make an effort to catch the podcast when I can. And if I don't catch the full podcast, then I'll definitely catch the Cliff Note version on his YouTube channel. But yeah, I think he is definitely the most consistent wrestling content creator I've watched since I started watching YouTube. It's been him, for sure. The only other content creators in general that I've been watching consistently have been the Black Hokage. He was definitely like one of my inspirations for doing content creation as well. I don't watch his content as much right now, but I always try to keep up with that guy. And who's another one I've been consistently watching for like 10 or more years. There's one more, but I can't think of his name. I only listen to Steve and Larson. I respect that. I do like Steve and Larson. I listen to them every once in a while. When they come up on a feed, I'll listen to their podcast. If I'm bored and there's nothing else better to do, I will. What's the best year for AEW in your opinion? 2021, without a doubt. 2021 for sure. Mask, Ayo, I accept your apology, man. Stop spamming on the chat, otherwise I'm going to have to time you out. I feel like you're very young because there's no reason why you have to keep commenting this. All right, guys. I think enough time has passed. I say enough time has passed, and yet I still didn't let my Discord know that I'm actually active on fucking YouTube. Ugh. I swear to God, I always forget to do this, and it's ridiculous. You would think after years of being a content creator, I remember to let everybody know that I'm live. I'm going to have to create an email list. That's what I need to do. I need to create an email list, and that it will go out to every single person. Like, hey, I'm live. One of these days. We have a few new people join our Discord today. Let's go. All right, guys. I'm not an Eddie Kingston fan, but everybody loves him. Eddie Kingston's cool, man. What are you talking about? So, I have a big old list of over 23 talent who have been released today. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. Ooh, somehow I only have 21. I thought it was 23. We'll see if I missed anybody. If I do miss anybody on this list, definitely let me know. There's probably going to be a couple people that I missed because I know there are some people that announced they got released on like Twitter. But it should be 21. That being said, guys, we're going to go through this list real quick. The 21 talents that got released, I'm going to talk about them. What I remember of them, and, you know, what I think this should happen with them. So, that being said, we're going to get started with a name that I am not familiar with. Not even going to hold you. We got this guy right here. I believe his name is Bryson Montana. Now, the guy looks pretty clean. I ain't going to hold you. It fits kind of nice. But I don't know a single thing about him, nor have I ever seen this guy wrestle. So I'm respectfully, like, I can't really comment on him. But I'm going to leave him up right here because I want you guys, if you guys know who he is or if you've seen him, definitely, like, comment down below. Let me know what you guys, was he good in the ring? I'm going to assume he was from the NXT brand because I didn't see him on Raw or SmackDown or anything like that. So his attire is cool. I mean, yeah, it's cool. He got the little Roman Reigns vest. I mean, he has a physique. He has like he has an aura to him. The tires kind of litty. Yeah, I think he has an aura to him. It looks cool. I mean, again, like I said, I can't really comment on this guy because I never saw him perform. So honestly and truly, I wish the best for him, but we're probably just gonna move on because I can't. I don't feel comfortable commenting on people that I don't know. That's just weird to me. I can't. All right, so the next one is honestly another person that I'm unfamiliar with. We're gonna put her up here though. We have Brooklyn Barlow. Now, Brooklyn Barlow, I believe, is from the NXT brand. This is an NXT wrestler that I never saw wrestle because I do not really watch NXT like that. So I, again, don't have much to say about her. I'm going to leave her up for like a minute. That way anybody who in the comments that watched NXT could comment on her and we could talk about it. But other than that, I'm probably just going to next her and just wish her the best because, again, I don't have anything to say about it. Her attire looks cool. The top, I don't know what this top is called. I've seen it before. It's like a zip up vest thing where like it zips up, but it only covers like the neck and shoulders. Like Carmella used to wear this all the time back in like 2019. Carmella used to wear it all the time, but I don't know what it's called. Mid. Was she mid? I don't know. Z tier. Aye. Seen her once on NXT Level Up. How did she perform? She looks like she probably has something going for her, I imagine. Who are these people? I don't know, but I wish them the best. So we're going to move on from Brooklyn Barlow. And then next up, we have a name that I actually do, for the most part, know. And that is Ikemen Jiro. I believe I said his name right. Ikemen Jiro. So this guy was signed to WWE in like 2020. I believe he came from Pro Wrestling DDT, which if you guys don't know, Pro Wrestling DDT is the same company that Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi came from. Also, Kenosi, Takeshita, Omega, Ibushi all came from DDT. So Jiro also came from DDT, and he went to WWE NXT. Now, he went at the very wrong time because I believe he went during the COVID era. He went in like 2020. So, like, I feel like he got an unfair shake. Like, from what I saw, he was entertaining. He used to always wear a jacket to the ring. I believe he even wrestled in a jacket in some matches. I keep on saying I feel. If I remember correctly, for a period of time, he was either feuding or teaming with Kushida in NXT. I want to say teaming with Kushida. I have not seen that many matches of his. I want to say I've only seen him wrestle like 2 or 3 times at the most. But he seemed like he was an entertaining guy. And what I will say is that he is one of those guys in WWE in general that I feel like was locked into what I like to call NXT hell. And what I mean by NXT hell, I mean they were put in this roster with other people who were, bred, made, and set to succeed when he also can succeed. But it's very apparent that, like, he will probably always be in NXT. Like, I never got the idea or the vision that WWE was going to do anything monumental with this guy. Not to say that he couldn't have excelled, but I never got that impression. So when I say NXT hell, it's like, you're in NXT and like that's your ceiling. Like you were never going to escape NXT. And it's upsetting. And it's upsetting to see that because I feel like he could have been something, but like I don't think he was ever going to escape that brand. So this honestly might have been a blessing in disguise for him. I don't know if he goes back to NXT. I'm not NXT. I don't know if he goes back to DDT or Japan in general or where he goes. But wherever he goes, I wish the best for him because like I said, I feel like I'm not saying he would have been WWE champion or anything, but I feel like there's something there with that guy. And he just was never going to get past a certain level. Not NXT. He was never going to get past a certain level. And if he did, I don't think he would have made it on the main roster either. So, where I think he can excel, I feel like he might excel in Impact. I don't know. Something about him screams like Impact Wrestling, like Succession. I see it. I see the vision. Speaking of Impact, guys, I'm going to be at Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory next month. I'm so excited. I have only been to one Impact Wrestling show, and it was by accident. Now you're saying, how did you go to an Impact Wrestling show by accident, Sooplex? Listen. So in 2019, right? In 2019, me and a couple of my friends wanted to go to this wrestling show, House of Hardcore, at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. House of Hardcore was a promotion that was ran and owned by Tommy Dreamer. I don't think it's actually running anymore. I don't want to say it's defunct, but I don't even remember the last time they ran a show. So they were holding a show, and it was like a crossover show, but we didn't quite know what the crossover was. It was called A Night You Can't Miss, right? And I was like, all right, shit, let's go. Because on the card was going to be the Great Muta. I'm like, I'm here for this. So, you know, we go to the show, we get there, and then on a card you see House of Hardcore / Impact Plus. And I was like, did I just buy tickets to an Impact Wrestling show and didn't notice? Like, I wasn't mad because I don't hate Impact, but I was like, I feel like I got duped here. I got bamboozled because I didn't know I was buying tickets to an Impact Wrestling show. What the fuck? But I ended up enjoying the hell out of the show. And that was the only Impact Wrestling show I've ever been to. This is like the second one, and it's going to be the primary one because that was a / conjoint show. Because technically I can say I've also been to an NWA show, but that was joined up with another independent wrestling show that I was working with. So I can't really say that. But this is like my first true Impact Wrestling show. And I'm excited because it's new to me. I've never actually been to an Impact Wrestling show. And I can't say I grew up watching Impact Wrestling, but a part of me growing up as a wrestling fan involves TNA Impact. Cross the line. Like, if you ask me, what was your favorite promotion in the year 2009? I would tell you it was TNA Impact Cross the Line. Without a doubt. And I didn't even know other promotions existed out of WWE up until 2008. And I was like, oh, what is this TNA show? I thought TNA was just an extension of WWE or something. But then I found out that other promotions exist. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I saw Hulk Hogan and Sting and Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe and all these guys. And I'm like, these are cool. And I ended up watching like a lot of the shows through like, not Xfinity. What was it called at the time? Comcast On Demand. I ended up watching a bunch of the shows on DVR until eventually I was able to catch some of the shows live on Spike TV. But 2009 to 2010, those were definitely like favorable years I have with Impact Wrestling. Like I genuinely enjoyed watching TNA Impact in 2009 to 2010. So, and now I know they just had their 1000th episode like last week, which is really cool. So being able to go to this show and being able to see Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Will Ospreay live, that was the match that sold me. I ain't gonna hold you. As soon as I saw that match, I DM'd, a contact I have at Impact. I'm like, yo, put me on for this show. I'm like, who would I have to talk to? You need to put me on for this show. I need to do media for this show. And then I talked to the person. They're like, yeah, we'll get you down here. So yeah, I'm doing media for Impact. That's how it all came together. I just was like, yo, I need to get on this show right now. I need to do this show right now. Because that's what I do. That's what I do now. Like, I feel like I'm not just a content creator. Like, I literally do wrestling radio now, which I think is so fucking awesome. I was able, this year alone, to go to a WWE show, an AEW show, a New Japan show, an Impact show, all for free. I did all 4 promotions in 3 months for free as media. And that's fucking awesome to say. But enough about myself. Sorry. Went off on a tangent there. But Aki Manjiro, wish that guy the best. The next person we have on here is... You know what? I think I had the guy's picture, but... Oh, here it is. So we have this guy right here. Kevin Ventura Cortez. He came up so fucking large. Holy shit. Firstly, damn. Secondly, I saw this guy's face before on Twitter. I've seen him before on like Instagram, but I never ever saw him wrestle. Apparently, he was on an episode of Monday Night Raw. I don't know what he was doing on Raw. I've never remember seeing him like do anything crazy on Raw or anything, but nah, Roman Reigns looks different. Chill. Not Roman Reigns looks different. Y'all need to chill out. That's not Roman Reigns, bro. That might have been Roman Reigns in like 2015 when he had the cut. Do y'all remember that era of Roman Reigns where he used to have the contacts in, like the blue contacts, bro? I like to pretend that era of Roman Reigns never existed. Roman Reigns had blue. Y'all need to look it up. 2015. Roman Reigns had blue contacts at one point. I'm like, all right, bro, who you fooling? Those are not your eyes. But because I never saw her perform. So I'm gonna leave her up for a minute. If anybody has any comments, please elaborate more on who she is, if she was talented or not. He reminds me of Damian Priest. I feel like I could see some Damian Priest, some Roman Reigns. Yeah. Who are these people? A lot of these people that we're naming first off are NXT names. Right after her, we're going to get into like the main roster names that you all know. We have to go through the NXT names because out of respect. Out of respect, I want to go through the NXT names that got released today. Daddy Sooplex. Hey, what's up, Ethan Jordan? She was in NXT and fought on the pre-show of the Great American Bash. The Great American Bash this year, because they've had like 3 Great American Bash shows since like 2019. So. Depends on which one you're talking about. This year? Okay. What happened with Riddle? I'm still not sure. We'll be talking about Riddle a little bit later on. Don't worry. We'll get to him. Gotta go to sleep, so good night, man. Have a good night, brother. Have a good night. All right, well, I wish her the best. But now that we got through that, now it's time to move on to the main roster, guys. Oh, whoa, wait. We got one more NXT talent. One more NXT talent that we got to talk about. And that is, hold on. Excuse me, sorry about that. And that is, why do they always come up so big? Holy shit. And that is Quincy Elliott. So, this guy I actually did know. Not personally. But this is like one of the very few people from NXT brand that I actually did know about. When he first came into NXT in like 2021, 2022, he was a bigger set guy that used to dress very provocatively. He was like a mix of Goldust and Velveteen Dream. That's the best way I could put him. But heavier set. Now, I always got like really a lot of, again, heavy Goldust, Velveteen Dream vibes. He used to dress not provocatively, but you know, just more femme than the average man, and wore a lot of clothing like this. And he moved fairly quickly for a guy his size. I don't think he was overly impressive at all. I thought in the ring he was decent. I think what got him over was his gimmick and just his flair and his Twitter game really is what got him over for the most part. The crowd seemed to like him. I wanted to see more of him. I wanted to see what he was capable of. And then all the stuff came out about him being a racist on Twitter, using the F word, being transphobic, being racist. And I'm surprised they didn't let him go then. They kept him around, and then months later he got released. Okay, so here's the thing. When all that stuff about him being racist and transphobic and he didn't apologize and all that kind of stuff came out, it's like, that was up to the company to assess the situation. They didn't release him. Whatever. His career was over at that point. I ain't gonna lie to you. With the way cancel culture is, once it comes out that you're a racist or you're transphobic, like your career is done. Especially when you don't apologize, your career is done. So I felt like he lost a lot of fanfare after that point. And he was off TV for a long time. And then when he came back to TV, the fans didn't know how to react to him in NXT from what I heard. What I can say about this guy is that I don't know if it was him directly or WWE. But from what I saw, They wanted this guy so badly to be the Velveteen Dream. They wanted him so badly. Or maybe he wanted himself. One of the two parties wanted him, or somebody in the comments section is saying that he might be they. Wanted them so badly to be the Velveteen Dream. And you could see it in the way they dress, in the way they act, in the way they wrestle, in the way they're grinding it. You could see it. And I felt like they had the embodiment and had that, but unlike the Velveteen Dream, they weren't that good in the ring. So it's like you have the gimmick and the character, and that's really it. At that point, you're kind of just a mock of somebody that was better than you. I get the sense that if he were to go somewhere else, he'll probably do really good on the indies if they take him, because the stuff I saw on Twitter was not very. So if the indies take him, I think he'll do good. He has the gimmick that I feel like can succeed on the indies, for sure. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Quincy Elliott. Was it wasted potential? I don't quite know. Now we move on to the main roster talent that I know you guys are all ready for me to talk about. So we shall start off this list with that is not the right female. my bad. That was not the right female. We shall start off where do you come from, bro? Go away. Oh my lord. Botchamania. We shall start off this list with Dana Brooke. I'm not your enemy. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I kind of messed with her theme song heavy. I'm not sure. Her old one, not her current one. Her current one sucks. Well, her current one sucked. I gotta say sucked because she's not really part of the roster no more. So, what can we say about Mrs. Brooke? Well, I can recount her whole career because I watched from the time she debuted in NXT until now. She came into NXT in, I want to say 2015 or 2014. I don't think it was 2014. I think it was definitely 2015. It was, she started with WWE in 2013 apparently. Well, I don't remember her being there early, so she must have been in developmental. I recall her being in NXT in 2015. And when she came out, she would do the little cartwheel thing, and I thought it was impressive. And then she got into the ring, and I was like, there's not much impressive about her. She had a look, though. She had that. She had the look. She had the athleticism, but there wasn't much past the athleticism. But I was like, she's in NXT. NXT, by the way, was flourishing in 2015. Flourishing. You had Finn Balor, you had Kenta, you had Kevin Owens, you had Sami Zayn, you had Adrian Neville, you had Chad Gable, you had Jason Jordan, you had Baron Corbin, you had Samoa Joe. Bro, NXT in 2015 just can't be touched. You cannot touch NXT in 2015, bro. And the women's division, you had Asuka, Bayley, Asuka, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky in their infancy stages, but still they were all really good. Nia Jax, before she started breaking bitches' noses and shit. But like it's getting me hyped just thinking about it, bro. 2015 NXT was that fucking show to watch. It really was. And Dana Brooke was a part of that. And I got the sense that at some point she was going to become something. And then they called her up like a year later. And I was like, I felt like she got called up very, very fast. And I didn't think she was ready. When she got called up to the main roster, she was paired off. I believe she either was paired off immediately or she was paired off after a period of time with Charlotte Flair. She became Charlotte Flair's like second, her lackey or whatever. I personally thought Dana Brooke was best and worked best as Charlotte Flair's manager. As the Charlotte Flair wannabe. That's how I thought she worked best. And she was with Charlotte for about a good year before she started having this angle with Ric Flair where maybe she slept with Ric Flair and she was trying to feud with Charlotte, which she was never going to win that feud. After she started feuding with Charlotte and that ended, so did the rest of her run. After 2016 and 2017, like that was it. Dana Brooke, from that point on, just merely existed on the WWE roster. Merely existed. I can't even think of a single title shot she ever had. I don't think she ever won a title in WWE. Unless I'm wrong and she won the women's tag team titles at some point, I don't think she ever won a single title in this company. Not the NXT, not the SmackDown, not the Raw. 24/7. You're right. She was a 24/7 champion, which I could have been a 24/7 champion realistically. But we have to say she was a 24/7 champion. Am I going to talk about Lacey? Well, Lacey wasn't released with these people. She was released before that. So, no, I'm not going to talk about Lacey Evans. She was pretty good around 2020, in my opinion. She had a fair run in 2020. But, like, again, I don't really feel like there was much progression with her as a wrestler or as a character because they never really gave her anything to work with. So, I hate to say it, but I feel like she was kind of doomed to fail. She really did not progress that much as a wrestler over the years. They didn't give her a character to work with. And then on top of all of that, she just was on a roster of people that were just better than her at everything else. So, I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but I'm honestly shocked she lasted as long as she did. I don't want to sound rude when I say it, but I'm honestly shocked she lasted as long as she did. Like, WWE had cuts 5 different times since this, and she survived all the cuts. All of them. So she must have been liked backstage a lot, and that's great. If she was friendly backstage, if she was well liked. As far as a TV character, that did nothing for her. So I think maybe she'll do good in Impact Wrestling. I don't think there's a future for her in AEW or anywhere else. Maybe the Indies or Impact, something like that. Other than that, Dana Brooke, like I said, I feel like I don't really have much to say about her. Any thoughts on Dana Brooke, guys? 24/7. They moved her up way too early. But then the thing is, you got moved up in 2016, and 7 years later, you didn't improve. I could say the same thing about Nia Jax. Nia Jax got moved up too early, and she never improved at all. Nia Jax and Dana Brooke are 2 wrestlers that came from NXT that consistently stayed the same since then. Except Nia Jax still has a job, and Dana Brooke doesn't. That's the only difference between the two. Dana Brooke is just athletic with no glue. Yeah, you're right about that. Respectfully mid, but better than Nia. I mean, she was safer than Nia. I'll give you that. She definitely was safer than Nia Jax. Why'd they bring Nia back, though? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't quite know either. But that is the legacy of Dana Brooke. So now we shall move on to the Maximum Male Models Mansoor. Oh, shit. The Maximum Male Models Mansoor and Mace, or Mansoor and Mace. Or Mansoor and Brandon Williams, Mansoor and Dio Madden. Bro's been doing a lot of name changes. Mansoor's been Mansoor the whole time. So I'm going to recant their careers on a separate note first. Let me bring up individual pictures because I want to recant their career separately. Because I feel like that's kind of respectful to recant them separately. Who should we talk about first? Mansoor? Should we talk about Mansoor first? I think we shall talk about Mansoor first. Because I feel like Mansoor definitely had a lot more career to him than Mace did. Monsoon? No, not Gorilla Monsoon. We're not talking about Gorilla Monsoon, even though rest in peace, Gorilla Monsoon. We're not talking about him. We're talking about Big Mace. Or Big Monsoon, one of the two. I'm trying to find a good picture. That was a good one. All right. Boom. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk about Mansoor. So Mansoor debuted in WWE in 2018. as part of the deal with Saudi Arabia. He wasn't a part of the deal per se. But when WWE went to Saudi Arabia to scout out talent, one of the guys they scouted out was Mansoor. And he ended up being a part of the first WWE Saudi Arabia show, The Greatest Warrior Rumble. He was involved in the Warrior Rumble match. He didn't win, but he was involved. After that point, Mansoor was in NXT, and he was on every single WWE Saudi Arabia show after that point. He either won or was featured in some way. In NXT, he kind of was just there. Like, he merely existed on the NXT brand. They gave him matches. He was fairly good, but that was that. Then he went to the main roster and finally became like a natural wrestler on the roster in like 2021. He started teaming with Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali was basically trying to lead him as the next big Middle Eastern star in WWE. They ended up feuding with each other, which I thought was going to be a very interesting feud. It ended up being dropped very abruptly out of nowhere, which I found very disappointing because I was actually very interested in that feud. Once that feud got dropped, he just existed. And then came the Maximum Male Models with himself and Marseille, and it was Mansoor, and then we got this, which I thought they both killed the gimmick that was never going to go anywhere, and then he got released. So, Mansoor's legacy in WWE. I feel like this is a guy that they hired and pushed for like one reason and one reason only, and that was to fill the quota of having a Arabic star in WWE. I feel like that was really the main reason why, if not maybe the only reason why they even signed him. They wanted to have a guy that they could bill from Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't talented. I thought he was talented, very talented. And he could have been something if they wanted to actually push him. But I think it was very apparent why they hired him. And once they realized that he was not that expendable, like he was never going to be the guy for them, that's when they just kind of just cut bait and just didn't care anymore. And then they paired him off with Marseille, who was another person they didn't really care about. Where will he excel? I feel like the Indies. The Indies, I think, might be really good for him. I can see him doing some good shit over there, or just being a like on Twitch. I know he had a Twitch, and so does Dio Madden, Brandon Williams, Marseille. We'll talk about Mace in a second, but I feel like he will excel definitely on the Indies, or as a content creator. But now we shall talk about Marseille. And this guy, very disappointing for me because I honestly really, really was looking forward to what he could do in WWE. Let me find a good little picture. Not finding a good picture. Oh. Why are all these pictures not working? Jesus Christ. I'm unprepared. I'm sorry. I had pictures ready to go, but then some of them turned out to not work. Like dead pictures. Of course, they would be all be dead pictures. All of them are dead pictures? Are you kidding me? Here we go. Boom. Jump scare. I'm sorry. I mean a jump scare, y'all. Let's cut your feet off. Bang, bang, bang. There we go. All right, so we got Mace. So Mace came into WWE in like 2019 as Dio Madden. Now, before he came to WWE, I heard rumors about him and how entertaining he was in the Performance Center in WWE. People were high on him, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm looking forward to this guy. This is all stuff I was hearing, by the way, because I have a friend who works with NXT, and he used to go to all the shows, so he knew things I didn't know, and they were like, oh, this guy's really good. He's really impressing the crowd. I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to him. He came in for like a hot second on NXT, and then he was immediately like on the main roster. And I was like, oh, okay. And he went to the main roster as a commentator for Monday Night Raw. And I thought he was like a decent commentator. Didn't really, let me not say he didn't offer much, but he was a decent commentator. I thought he was okay in the role. Definitely a nice dose of color to color commentary, let's say that much. But I thought he was decent. And then he got F5 by Brock Lesnar, never to be seen again. He resurfaced as part of arguably the worst faction in WWE history, Retribution. With him and Shane Haste and Mia Yim and Mercedes. Not Mercedes. Is it Mercedes Martinez? What's her name? Is it Mercedes Martinez? I believe it's Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez and Mustafa Ali. And I don't stress this when I say it. That is one of the worst factions WWE has had ever. They didn't know what they wanted to be. I guess they wanted to be like a group of anarchists, a group of rebels. Except like nobody bought into it. And because it was happening during the COVID era, you got a lack of crowd reactions, which did not help things. Shaky cam, like it just did not work. It did not work. It wasn't clicking with the crowd. Virtually was not clicking with the crowd. And then eventually, thankfully, they got dropped. I think that was the best thing for their career, was to drop that whole angle. T-Bar, I almost forgot about T-Bar too. So they dropped Mace, and then he got paired off with his best friend, Mansoor, and they became the Maximum Male Models. And then, what do you know, he got released. I thought there was a lot of wasted potential there. I saw something in that guy. Don't know what it was, but I saw something. I feel like they had something, and we never got to quite tap into it. I've seen his Twitch streams. He's very entertaining, and I know for sure he could have been something. So, I don't know what that was. So it is very upsetting to see that. I wish we could have seen more, unfortunately. Up, up, down, down? Yeah, up, down, down for sure. Let me turn some of this up. Turn the music up. You guys hear the music? Waste potential about right? Yeah, very wasted potential. Like I said, I don't think he was going to be WWE champion enough. I'm not going that far. But they definitely could have used him better. For sure. Off the cuff of Mansoor and Marseille, we now move on to another name. I don't know if I could say wasted potential, but I felt like there was something there that they definitely never tapped into. We got Dabba-Kato. Dabba-Kato, Babatunde, or Commander Aziz. He was a lot of things. But success, unfortunately, was not one of them. So the earliest I could trace back his career, to my knowledge, was in 2018 when they had the first ever Greatest Royal Rumble. He came into WWE in that Rumble match as Babatunde. And I thought, I listened to the name and I always laugh, like, Babatunde. That sounds like such a funny name. And I hope that's not somebody's like real name and I'm making fun of it or anything. But like Babatunde, I thought was a funny name at the time. He had that one match on that one show, and then I never saw him again. He was there specifically for the Rumble match and nothing else. And I was like, okay. Then 2020 happened. Raw Underground was a thing. You guys remember that with Shane McMahon and the botch of Raw Underground. He debuted on that show as Dabba-Kato. He was 6'9". He was murking people all across the way. He had a match with Braun Strowman that ended in a no contest, and that's how he got paired off with Apollo Crews. And then he soon became Commander Aziz. He was like a militant, basically, for Apollo Crews, and it never went anywhere. He managed him, he tag teamed with him, but again, it never went anywhere, and then he got released. No notable matches in his career, no notable storylines, no notable promos, nothing. He was merely a body on the roster. And I hate saying stuff like that because it feels like such a jab, but he was a body on the roster, unfortunately. A body that he protected because I can't recall how many times he lost in WWE, but he was a body. 6'9", 300 pounds. I felt like they definitely could have had something if they really wanted to try, but they didn't try. So we don't really know what he was capable of. They didn't try. After Apollo Crews went to NXT and actually caused Crews a match at NXT when he returned. Did he? Fuck. Hold on, y'all. I don't spill my drink in my goddamn... I spilled my drink in my goddamn... in my chair. God damn it. I'll just sit on it for now. That way I can soak it up. Alright. Anyway. F in the chat for the juice. Chill. But, as I was saying, Dabba-Kato, Commander Aziz, or Babatunde. Just the case where it's like a body on a roster. What can we say? Where he will exceed? I don't know. Impact. I feel like I'm going to be saying Impact a lot. And I feel like it's such a slight, but it really isn't. Next on this list. I said next on this list. Shanky. Big Shanky. Who remembers Shanky, right? I always found his name to be funny as well. Because I think of the actual Shank. He has no head now. He has a head. I promise you he does. So Shanky's career really starts in 2021 during COVID. Superstar Spectacle. It was an 8-man tag. Shanky, team of Rey Mysterio, and somebody else, and another guy on the Superstar Spectacle show was a guy named the Giant Zangier. Now, between Giant Zangier and Shanky, I thought Giant Zangier was the most impressive guy. Was he overly impressive? No, but I thought he was more impressive than Shanky. Somehow, Shanky was the one they kept, which I was shocked by. But they kept Shanky around. I guess Shanky was more likable. So Shanky, for the 2 years we seen him, was on TV. He was doing like a dance or whatever on TV with people. Like the little, he was doing a little dance from time to time. And then he got paired off with Jinder Mahal and Veer Mahan. And then he got released. Like, there's nothing more to the career of Shanky than that. Here's the thing I will say. Shanky got put in a very, very tough spot as soon as Omos got signed. As soon as they signed Omos, which I think was the same year that he got signed, it was over. Because, like, they had 2 7-footers on a roster. And they wanted Omos. If you got 1 7-footer, why do you need the other 7-footer? So once they started pushing Omos, it was a wrap for Shanky. There was nothing they could do for him because they're not going to face off against each other. The match would have been terrible. So this was it. This was really it for Shanky. He wasn't going to break any barriers. He wasn't going to break any molds. I honestly can't say there was much hope for him, honestly, because Omos was on the same roster. Omos, my guy, I love that dude for real. Bro, I was at Grand Slam 3 years in a row and still haven't met you. You'll meet me someday. I'll be back in New York. Trust me. You'll meet me someday. I'll be in New York, Alex Holly. We will cross paths, I promise you. But Shanky, where he will go, I don't know. Where he will exceed, I also do not know. So, we now move on to our next person. A female on the roster. We shall go with Emma. So for those of you who remember Emma in WWE in her first initial run, she came into WWE in 2014 in the NXT brand. She had really good matches on that brand, especially most notably with Paige. She had a very fun gimmick where she would kind of like do a little popping bubbles or whatnot. Thing was, WWE did not get the gimmick. So when she went to the main roster, it was over. Like, they didn't do shit with her. Then they repackaged her as Emmalina, only for her to debut as Emmalina and then go back to being Emma. And then she went back to being Emma, and then it didn't do anything with her. And then she stole something, and then they fired her. And then they brought her back, and then they released her in 2020. And then 2 years later, in 2023, or 2020, 3 years later, they brought her back. They rehired her, only for them not to really use her much at all during this entire period that they brought her back. And then she got released. So this was honestly a wasted re-signing. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, they wasted their time with the re-signing. They should have just let her be. Like, I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying she's not a good talent, because she is a good talent. Tenille Dashwood definitely excelled in Impact Wrestling. But I never got the sense that they were ever going to do anything serious with her. Ever. Like, I never got the sense they were going to do anything serious with her. Even when they brought her back last year, I didn't think they were going to do anything serious with her. And she just became a body on a roster, which is what she was for the last duration of time she was in WWE. She was a body on the roster, which is unfortunate. So, honestly and truly, she'll leave. She will probably go back to Impact Wrestling, where she will excel as Tenille Dashwood. Or AEW. AEW could probably use a name like her, but I don't think she would be like anything super special in AEW. So probably Impact. I feel like I'm saying Impact way too much, but yeah. That's Emma's legacy. She's a good talent, but they were never going to do anything with her, unfortunately. All right, moving on. We have Shelton Benjamin. I don't want to recant his entire beginning of his career in 2004 and all that. Like, that's a lot to go back to. What I will tell you is that Shelton Benjamin, in the early half of his career, paired off with Charlie Haas, was a very successful tag team, especially paired off with Charlie Haas and Kurt Angle. He became IC champion, really underrated star. Became the gold standard 2009. Almost won the ECW championship. Should have won the ECW championship, in my opinion. Was U.S. champion for a period of time. Then he came back in 2016 or 17. And Shelton Benjamin, when he came back in 2017, I think we all knew he was never going to be like the guy. He was always one of their utility guys. That's what I take away. He was one of the best WWE utility guys. And I'm not saying this as a shot at him, but like that was essentially what he was. He was a guy that they could throw in there if they needed someone to get put over or throw in there to have a really good match. And that's really the extent of Shelton Benjamin in WWE. He was in the Hurt Business, which was probably the best thing he could have done at the time. But that's it. That was his run. Was it wasted? I don't know if I could say it was wasted. I think they got the most out of him for what they were going to use for him. Could he have been a top guy? He could have been. From a talent perspective. From a character perspective, I don't think so. But from a talent perspective, yeah. I think he would probably work really good in AEW, but I don't think he would be like a main eventer in AEW. If anything, he'll be the same thing in AEW that he was in WWE. He will probably do best somewhere else, but I feel like I could see him being in AEW, honestly, as like a producer or something. If he wants to be there as a talent, I could see that too, but I feel like he'll probably work better as like a backstage hand in AEW, something like that. They should have let him hold the IC championship one more time. I agree.
I agree. He definitely should have won IC championship at least one more time beyond that point. Shelton Benjamin was that guy. I think the highlight of his entire latter run in WWE was Royal Rumble 2020 when he got that moment in the ring with Brock Lesnar where they like clapped hands and then he stood in the ring and kind of like stood in unity. That, in my opinion, was like the moment for Shelton Benjamin's latter half of his WWE run was the Royal Rumble 2020. The match where he was in a ring and then got eliminated. That was the best moment of his entire maybe career. I don't know. Maybe not his entire career, but the latter half of his career for sure. For sure. Shelton Benjamin. Now we move on to Top Dollar. The not Top Dollar. Top Dollar. So he came into WWE in 2020 with Hero. It was him, Swerve, B-Fab, and Tahuti Miles. I thought they were a really entertaining act in NXT. Then he went to the main roster only to get they literally went to the main roster, was on TV a handful of times, and then they got fired. They brought them back last year. I feel like Triple H brought him back as almost kind of like a make-do, like a we fired you unjustly, here's your job back kind of deal. And they were on TV a handful of times during that. And then he got fired. And I find it most interesting that we didn't hear anything about B-Fab or Ashanti the Adonis being released. It was just Top Dollar. Like, just Top Dollar, and only him got released of the entire faction. Do I think they're going to do anything special with B-Fab and Ashanti? I don't think so. Which is why I'm very curious as to why it was just him and him alone. I did hear some stories about how he is backstage. I don't know. Now, I can say is that I know him on a personal level. Like, you know, he's cool people. AJ Francis is cool people. Shout out to him. I talked to him a little bit after he got released. He's in better spirits, so that's a good thing. I wish the best for the guy. I think he's a pretty good, artist in terms of like rapping or whatnot. In the ring, where would he fit best? He was actually running a promotion that I was a part of, like I wrestled for, called Sausage Castle Wrestling in Florida. I think if he rebooted that, he could kind of run his own little thing there. That'd be really fun. That'd be really cool to do. I think he has a really interesting and creative mind, so I would like to see him kind of start up his own promotion or something like that, like he was doing with Sausage Castle Wrestling. Either that or the Indies, or creating his own promotion, because I feel like he definitely has a very creative mind. I want to see more of that. So that's Top Dollar, and I wish him the best for sure. It's my guy for sure. After Top Dollar, we have WWE stands for Walk with Elias. Elias was in WWE. He was in WWE for almost 10 years. He was in WWE for a long, long time. He came in NXT in like late 2014. He managed to keep the same gimmick for all those years. So good on him. He was in NXT for a bit. Then he went to the main roster shortly after that. He was on Raw. He was on SmackDown. He kind of bounced it between those brands, doing the gimmick. WWE stands for Walk with a Lot. That was his entire stick, and it was unique. It was unique to him. I think it got tiring after a while, but it was unique to him, and that's what made him stand out. That's what made him special. Was he good in the ring? He was decent in the ring, but like nothing special, which I think might have been part of the reason why he never got pushed to that magnitude. And I feel like his character was very one-dimensional. Like, he was that guy that would come out there and sing, and he could sing. He was a good lyricist, but he was very one-dimensional, and that never helped him go anywhere in his career outside of him, actually being decent in the ring. You wrestled? I did wrestle one time with little to no training, but I did wrestle one time for a promotion called Sausage Castle Wrestling, which was hosted by Top Dollar. So, yeah, technically I did. Elias had that storyline where he also was Ezekiel, his brother. His career in WWE, he had a lengthy one. I feel like he didn't do a lot. Like he was there. I can't say he was a body because they utilized him quite often. Like he was there. I can't remember too many periods of time in WWE where Elias was not being used. Like they used him. He was a good utility guy. Another utility guy WWE had was Elias. Where he will exceed, probably Impact or the Indies. Or he'll just pursue music entirely. One of those two for sure. After Elias, we have Riddick Moss. Riddick Moss was in WWE for quite some time in a developmental brand. In 2016, he debuted with Tino Sabbatelli, I believe. Riddick Moss and Tino Sabbatelli, they were a tag team in NXT. Tino got released after a while, so it was just Riddick Moss. He went to like the main roster, and I was honestly shocked because I ain't gonna hold you. There was really nothing about the guy that impressed me. Not to say that people didn't find him entertaining. I just personally did not. I didn't think there was anything about him that I was like, this is lighting my world on fire. Like, no. Madcap Moss, yeah, I remember that. Madcap Moss, he was paired off with Baron Corbin, and then when they broke up, he became Riddick Moss, or he was still Madcap Moss the whole time, I'm not too sure. And then they released him. That was really his run. I ain't gonna hold you, that was his run. Like, he was there, he had a little pairing with Baron Corbin, and then that's it. So, there's not too much I could say about Riddick Moss and what I think he had potential in. I feel like he definitely has potential in Impact, though. I'm gonna keep saying this shit, bro. Listen, Impact for everybody, including my next person being Aaliyah. Aaliyah in WWE. She was in the NXT brand for a long time. Like, she came into WWE in NXT brand like 2015 was the first time I saw her. And she was there for like a good 4 or 5 years. She was down there for for all the women in NXT who went through, and we say he should have been down there for a longer. I'm talking about Nia Jax, Dana Brooke. She was down there for like a good 4 years before she actually got called up. And when she got caught up, I feel like she wasn't even like, I don't really think she improved all that much when she got called up. But they called her up. She beat Natalya in like 3 seconds or something like that. Did she throw up or poop herself? I think she threw up during one of her segments. She had that. She used to botch on her segments and read scripts and just stuff that I felt like either she intentionally did to embarrass herself or get clout or something, or she was just really nervous. I'm not too sure. Either way, Aaliyah paired off with Raquel Gonzalez. They won tag team gold, so she is a former champion. Something we can't really say for Dana Brooke. She is a former champion. Well, I keep saying that. Like, the 24/7 title wasn't a thing, even though it really shouldn't have been. But Aaliyah actually was a women's tag team champion. Dana Brooke was not. She was released. There's not much I can say. Like, I don't really think Aaliyah was that impressive. I didn't really see much in the way of what she could have been. And it's not a knock on her, but she was alright. She was kind of mid. I'm not gonna lie. If AEW Dark was still a thing, I would like to see her on AEW Dark, but it's not a thing, so I'm not sure where she goes, but I wish her the best. Now we get into what I assume you all been sitting here waiting for, like the top 3 releases in WWE. The top 3 releases. So we are going to start off with, I think, what arguably one of the more important one of the more important names that came up of yesterday, and that was Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali is a guy I was a big fan of. I was a big fan of Mustafa Ali. I always saw something in this guy, and I thought he was super talented. In 2016, he came to WWE as part of the Cruiserweight Classic. I wasn't impressed in the Cruiserweight Classic, but after that, when they had the Cruiserweight division and he was going up against guys like Neville and going up against Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy and all these guys. I was like, oh shit, he can be something. Like, he's really good. He had battles, epic battles in the cruiserweight show. I forgot what that was, 205 Live, and he had these really good matches with Buddy Murphy, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy can be something, except for the fact that he's not ideal height and not ideal weight. He could be something. Then they scrapped the entire cruiserweight division. COVID happened. He became the leader of Retribution, which at first was like, oh shit, he's leading his own faction. Like, they see something in this guy. Except he was leading the worst faction, one of the worst factions in WWE history. So, I mean, there's not much to brag about there. And then next thing you know, they drop Retribution, and now he's paired off with Mansoor, and now he's not paired off with Mansoor, and now he's off TV. He's off TV. He's off TV for like almost a year because apparently he went out of his contract and they didn't want to give it to him. Then he came back to TV. He was on NXT. Then he was off NXT. Then he was on the main roster. Then they put him back on NXT. Early this year, they put him back on NXT. And then I think he was going to face off against Dominic Mysterio for the NXT North American Championship. And then they released him. So, unrecognized talent is the word of the day. Because this man right here was, what can I say? Hold on. What can I say? I think this guy, for certain, was one of the best pound for pound cruiserweight / wrestlers WWE had. And they underutilized the hell out of him. I will still, to this day, never forgive Randy Orton for kicking this guy's eye out in the 2019 Elimination Chamber. I still firmly believe that the spot Kofi Kingston got in 2019 was meant for Mustafa Ali. That match at WrestleMania the WrestleMania 35 against Daniel Bryan was meant for Mustafa Ali because they were pushing the hell out of him. And then all of a sudden, Randy Orton bops him in the eye. He's injured, and then Kofi takes the spot. I entirely believe that spot was meant for Mustafa Ali, and Kofi took it. And I'm not saying like, oh, Kofi's a thief. Like Kofi just happened to be at the right place at the right time. But I believe that spot was still meant for this man. And he never, ever, ever, ever got back to that level of momentum ever again. And it's so upsetting to see. Because I felt like they really were investing in him at one point in time. And then he went down with one fucking injury and then never again. They just forgot about him. And they did not want anything to do with him after that. It's almost like they punished him for being injured. It's almost like they punished him for being injured. They punished him for getting hurt and ruining their plans. That they never wanted to do anything with him ever again. He wasn't beating it doesn't matter that he wasn't beating Danielson. The fact that he would have gotten a championship match at WrestleMania would have been enough. He could have lost to Danielson, lost to Bryan Danielson at WrestleMania, and I would have been fine with that. I said Bryan Danielson, didn't I? Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and I would have been okay with that. I would have been upset, but I would have been okay with that. But seriously, like I will say till the day I die, that was meant for him. WrestleMania 35 against Daniel Bryan was meant for him, and he got injured, and that was it. That was it for him. This is a guy who I think will excel in AEW. This is the first AEW I'm saying. I think Mustafa Ali will do really good in AEW. Really damn good in AEW. Especially if you pair him off with other cruiserweights like Swerve, like Buddy Murphy. I would love to see him and Buddy Matthews go up against each other. Like Aleister Black. Fucking give me him versus Kenny Omega. I really badly want to see him in AEW next year. I think he would excel really well. And he's still young. He's like, what, 37? Maybe even younger than that. Yeah, he's 37 years. He's still got years on him. This can't be it for him. I think AEW is written all over this guy. I want to see him in AEW for sure. But yeah. Mustafa Ali. Travesty it is. We now move on to, I think, the biggest name coming out of the releases. Well, one of the biggest names, two of the biggest names coming out of the releases. The most recent one being none other than Matt Riddle. This just came today. Matt Riddle announced on Twitter that he has been released by WWE. And it's disappointing, but at the same time, not shocking. I'm not shocked that Matt Riddle got released by WWE. Matt Riddle came into WWE in 2019, right? 18? 19. 18. 19. 2019 is when he came into WWE. He came in like right around the time when NXT was about to go to television up against AEW in their infancy stage. And he was a shining star. Now, mind you, I've been following Matt Riddle since his indie days in like 2017. My time capsule machine, which this box is full of a bunch of tickets that I've gotten from wrestling shows or concerts or whatever. My time capsule has Matt Riddle on the front of it. This is a sticker that I bought off of him in 2018 at a wrestling event that he was at. I used to always seek out Matt Riddle matches. Always seek him out. Way before he got signed to WWE. So when he got signed to WWE, I was hype. I was so excited. So excited. Because I knew this guy had a lot of potential. He excelled in NXT. Though I believe he should have won the NXT Championship at some point. He excelled down there. He was North American Champion. I believe he was North American Champion for a bit. Then he got caught up to the main roster. And he started riding on a scooter. And Vince McMahon basically loved this guy because he was so goofy and quirky. And he got paired off with Randy Orton, his RK Bro. And then line the issues. Then you started hearing about him and the sexual assault. I mean, the sexual assault thing was in 2020. That was a while ago. Then you started hearing about him having issues with his wife. You start hearing about him having these drug abuse things going on. He got suspended for health violations. I believe. I can't say exactly what it was, but it was definitely something to do with drugs that he got suspended for. It was just a lot of controversy surrounding Matt Riddle. A lot of controversy surrounding Matt Riddle, especially with the latest controversy of him being at an airport and he reported that a cop sexually assaulted him, allegedly, but then he allegedly lied about that. There was a lot going on with him, and they released him. So I felt like at that point, all the stuff that he had was just becoming heavy baggage for them. So that's a big part of the reason why they just cut bait, because otherwise they had something with Matt Riddle. I mean, he was talented. He was beasting it with guys like Gunther and tag teaming with Randy Orton and being up against guys like he was somebody I feel like in a couple years time could have been a world heavyweight champion or a WWE champion or any of that. But he just had too much going on in the background. And at that point, he just became a nuisance for the company. And it's sad to see, because I'm a Matt Riddle fan, and it's sad to see the turn that his career took. It really is. I want to see him in AEW as well. I think he would have a very successful career in AEW if he remains healthy, because obviously with all the stuff going on with this, with, you know, abuse of certain things or certain people, he is definitely not stable. Like, let me not say that, because I don't know him personally. He definitely doesn't appear to be stable in that sense. So hopefully when he's, like, you know, cleaned up and gets himself together, AEW would bring him in. But I don't know. I don't know about right now. Maybe he should just focus on himself right now. But when he's ready, and when AEW is ready, I would love to see him in AEW. I think he will go crazy in All Elite Wrestling. If not All Elite Wrestling, I like to see him back on the Indies, killing that shit. And last but certainly not least, Dolph Ziggler. Took us a while to get here, but Dolph Ziggler. what can we say about Dolph Ziggler, man? The guy came into WWE in 2000, like what, 6? 06, I believe. 04, I think, is when he first debuted. He was on OVW. But 06, he came in as the Spirit Squad, and I will never forget the Spirit Squad. I never knew, I didn't know up until like years later that was actually him. But I remember the Spirit Squad. I distinctly remember one of the very first feuds I got exposed to when I started getting into WWE was Spirit Squad versus DX. That was one of the very first feuds I got exposed to when I started watching wrestling in 2005 and 06 was DX versus the Spirit Squad. And he was a part of that. He was Nikki, Mikey. Man. Still remember that. It's exciting. I still remember the whole thing where they lifted up Shawn like 10 feet in the air and then thrusted him back. Then it was so awesome. Fast forward from the Spirit Squad, Dolph Ziggler debuts in WWE in like 2007, and I don't know, like I felt like he was this beach blonde hair guy that they seemed to really had a lot of power and like trust in him because they pushed him for a good bit. They even put Vicky Guerrero behind him, and he was racking up wins. He had the sleeper hold as his finisher. Later the zigzag, but the sleeper hold, he was putting people to sleep every week. Even so, feuding with Edge for a bit, like they put a lot behind Dolph Ziggler when he first started off in his career. It's like they trusted Dolph Ziggler in the very beginning of his career, and they wanted him to succeed. He had some damn good matches. He was one of the greatest sellers in the company. And it all led up to 2012 when he got paired off with AJ Lee. And then Biggie Langston went from NXT to WWE, became his heavy. And we all remember him winning Money in the Bank. And he waited almost an entire year to cash in on Alberto Del Rio the night after WrestleMania 29, winning the World Heavyweight Championship in one of the biggest pops I ever remember hearing to this very day. And then he got injured. And then like 1 month later, he got injured by Jack Swagger. And much like Mustafa Ali, when he got injured, I swear, it's like this company, when they invest in you and you get injured, it's like you let them down and they stop believing in you. Because I feel like it's a trend with certain wrestlers. They're getting this great big push, and then they get hurt, and then they're never seen at that level ever again. Ever again. We literally went over that story with Mustafa Ali, and it's the same here. As soon as he lost the World Heavyweight Championship because he had to relinquish it, we never saw him at that spot ever again. He came back. He was still with AJ Lee, and then he was not with AJ Lee, and then he was having matches here, matches there, and he was having feuds here and feuds there. He even feuded with Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship at one point, which he never won. And I believe that was the very last year. 2016 was the very last year where I feel like Dolph Ziggler had a chance to be something big. That was the last year, was 2016. After he had that match with Triple H for the WWE Championship and it didn't go anywhere, he went to SummerSlam to face Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship and did not win. And then after he went to SmackDown in 2017, it was over. It was over. He had that in 2014, he had the Authority angle. They were still pushing him. Just not as the World Heavyweight Champion. But after 2016, that was it. The only thing he was good for was U.S. title, IC title, if he won that, if they gave him that. They gave him some big matches that he never won. I still remember his match against Goldberg at SummerSlam 2019. I still recall him facing like Randy Orton and facing Roman Reigns, like all these big names that he never, ever won. Seth Rollins, he was that guy. He was still the best seller, one of the best workers, the best promo, but he never won anything. He became a utility guy for them. He was the guy you called on when you needed to put somebody over, and he was a fantastic. I think he'll go down as one of the greatest. It sounds like an insult, but I think he will go down as one of the best mid-card acts in WWE history. I think he will definitely he has a Hall of Fame career ahead of him. For a guy who never won a World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship, I think he will go down as one of the greatest, like, mid-card guys WWE's ever had. For sure. Jobber. No, that's insulting. Let's not call him a jobber. I just got to add in a live stream. Did you? That's crazy. The best job. Bro, chill out. No, I think for what it's worth, Dolph Ziggler had a great run in WWE. He just was never going to be the guy. And he almost was the guy until they decided, you're not stable enough. You can never be the guy. And then he wasn't. And then he was the utility guy. Which that was all he was going to be. Like, once we reached a certain point, it's like I knew that we were never, ever going to see Dolph Ziggler reach a certain level. I always saw people saying, oh, Dolph Ziggler for Royal Rumble, Dolph Ziggler for this. Maybe this is the year. And I'm like, guys, he is never going to get to that level ever again. Like, that's it. This is it for him. My friend is a huge Dolph Ziggler fan. He will always have faith. And I'm like, yo, I'm not saying give up, but like, give up. Like, he's never going to get to that point. And every single time the contract would come up and there was a chance for him to leave and go elsewhere, he would always resign. He would always resign, and I never understood it until like 2 years ago when I said, you know what, maybe he's just content. Maybe he is fine with getting the paycheck and being a utility guy. And if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. I'm okay with that. I've accepted that. That's all he is going to be. And now that he's released, he's 43, so he's not young anymore. He's not old, but he's not young. He spent 20 years in WWE, a lengthy career. I think AEW is the only wrestling company I could see him going. I feel like I could definitely see him and his brother teaming up to be like the Nemeth brothers in AEW. Or he'll just retire from wrestling and just do comedy. That's the two avenues. Either AEW or comedy. Whatever he does, I wish the best for him. He entertained me for well over 15 years. And I will follow him wherever he goes because I think he's a very entertaining guy. AEW makes Ziggler. I'm not saying Dolph Ziggler is going to go to AEW and be like the next coming of Kenny Omega. No. When he goes to AEW, he probably more or less will do the same thing, but maybe get pushed to a higher level. Like, he would maybe become like international champion or something like that. You going to talk about Rick Boogs? I forgot about Rick Boogs. Did I forget about Rick Boogs? I did forget about Rick Boogs. I guess he's our last guy. Because I forgot to talk about him. Holy shit. I forgot to talk about I guess he's our last guy because I definitely forgot to talk about him. Holy shit. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler, AEW, or comedy. So our last guy here, we got to say the best for last, is our guy Rick Boogs. Must save the best for last. For sure. Rick Boogs came into WWE in 2019. I believe he was still Rick Boogs. No, he was Rick Bugenhagen. I remember the gimmick. It was very similar to the gimmick he had with Shinsuke Nakamura. He was like, he was colorful. He had the guitar. I was entertained by the gimmick. I liked it. I thought it had a bright future. Then he went to the main roster to be a guitarist for Shinsuke Nakamura. And I was like, okay. Not quite the same NXT gimmick, but I see the vision. And I thought they worked pretty well together. He got injured. He came back. He kind of split from Nakamura. And then that was it. They never really did anything with him. He was a humongously jacked guy. But he had a big glass ceiling. I don't really have much to say about him. Where he will go, I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know. I do not know. Impact Wrestling? Probably. Or in the Indies. For sure. That was all 21 people who have been released. I would like to say that it is upsetting to see all these men have been released. The two exceptions I will say that most likely could have stayed in WWE for the better if it were not for talent cuts would have been Matt Riddle and like probably Dolph Ziggler. But at the same time, every single person on this list, I can understand. I can understand. I hate saying it, but I can kind of understand it. The only other one I feel like the only one that puzzles, like nobody on this list really puzzles me that much, except for Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is the only one that puzzles me, and it's not like, oh my god, like you don't realize what you have with this guy. It was just like he's been here for 20 years. Like why now release him? You know what I mean? I did see reports that apparently he was asking for a release or he wanted to be released or something like that. So if that was the case and that played into it, then that makes sense. But other than that, everybody on this list, I wish them the best. I wish them nothing but success. And we move on from there with WWE being basically consumed by TKO and Endeavor. Vince McMahon might be out. There's so much news for me to talk about, and I'll be talking about it more on this YouTube channel. I will be covering the Vince McMahon story. There's a lot going on with him and TKO and Endeavor and SmackDown and Raw. So much to talk about that I have not talked about because I gave myself 2 weeks off. I ain't gonna hold you. I gave myself 2 weeks off because I was exhausted. But we're back. There's content to talk about now. I hope you guys are excited about it because I'm excited about it. That being said, it's about to be midnight. I got work tomorrow, so I'm about to head up out of here. So final minutes, guys. Whatever you want to say it. Because after that, we're out of here. I hope LA Knight recovers from COVID. He got COVID? Oh, shit. I hope he recovers. Like you said. Will the stream be saved? Yes. The stream will be saved. What do I do for work? I work in a warehouse full time, and then I also do this. YouTube, media, content is also pretty much my job as well. That's how I consider it, at least. Chicken butter. Why top dollar release but not Ashanti and BFAB? Like I said, that's I think the most interesting part of this whole thing is that they only released him and not the others. You touched MK1 since the live stream? I have. I did play a little bit of MK1 since the live stream. I've been playing mostly just towers and single player combat because I know if I go online I'm going to get fucking trashed. So I have not really touched online, honestly. I have not done Invasions yet. I do want to try out Invasions at some point this weekend. Favorite female wrestler? Toni Storm. Toni Storm is killing it. She's my favorite wrestler right now overall. Like, I fucking want to see Toni Storm more often. And I'm mad she did not win yesterday at Grand Slam. She should have won 2 days ago. Should have won 2 days ago. What's your favorite event you ever been to for wrestling? I'll think about that one. Two come to mind, WrestleMania 39 and Joey Janela Spring Break. Jamie Hayter, massively underrated. I need Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm again. Now. Right now. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for me. Thank you all for coming through to the stream. It was a nice talking to you all. Nice addressing all this stuff. Once again, I wish the best for every single wrestler that was released today. And I hope they find work. I hope they find peace. And I hope they find success. That being said, I'm out of here, guys. Great talking to you all. I love each and every single one of you. We shall be live again very soon. So stay tuned. When I do go live, videos coming soon. Don't miss it. I'm out of here, guys. Have a good night. Love you. See ya. Bye.